Hey guys, it's Gracie, and today I'm doing my March wrap-up, which is slightly late. I only read 5 books in March, which was a little disappointing, but I'm trying to read a lot of books in April, and so far I'm doing pretty good, so hopefully I can catch back up with my goal. The first book I read in March was The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. I really love Patrick Ness, and I want to read literally everything he has because I've realized he's so good at character development and teaching lessons throughout his story, which I think is really cool. This is kind of a science fiction about this group of teenagers who lives in a world where weird things happen, and there seems to be some other teenagers who always are in the midst of some supernatural, superhuman type occurrence, and this group has nothing to do with that and are kind of just outsiders, and it kind of goes with like how they're affected by it and just things like that. And I really thought it was pretty good. I gave it 4 stars. Definitely my least favorite Patrick Ness book that I've read, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny. I think it was funny and serious. It dealt a lot with mental health, OCD, anxiety, and there was a point in this book where the main character, I believe is Mikey, goes to a therapist, and the therapist is talking to him about, well, what if what you had wasn't OCD? What if you had cancer or something like that? Would you be ashamed of getting treatment? And it really talked about stigma of mental health issues, and I really struggle with that as well, feeling like I shouldn't have mental health problems, and it's not normal. But I thought the quotes in here that explaining like, well, someone with diabetes or someone with cancer needs treatment too, why is that any different? And I thought that was really amazing. So yeah, that's the first book I read. The second book I read was Shadow Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is a novella in the Shadow Me series. It was so good. I was so happy to have Kenji's point of view. It is basically Kenji's point of view and thoughts of different occurrences in Restore Me. I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars. You learn a lot of different things that you didn't realize in Restore Me from Juliet and Warner's point of view that you realize in Kenji's point of view, and I thought that was so awesome. Really love him. Kenji's probably one of my favorite characters, maybe my favorite, but yeah, really loved it. Can't really tell you much because that'd be spoiling for the whole series, but yeah, highly recommend the Shadow Me series. And if you don't like the first one, keep going because it gets so much better. The third book I read was We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I've wanted to read this book for a while, and then in English class at the beginning of the school year, we did our short stories unit, and we read The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, which when I read it I was like, oh my god, that was amazing and really awful at the same time. So I gave this 4.75 stars. It was really chilling and unbelievable, and it made you kind of realize like people can be good and bad, and it's not black and white, which obviously I already knew that, but I think this just demonstrated that so well. And for such a short book, so much happened, and I just think it's so amazing, and I highly recommend going into this book knowing literally nothing. But I'm so excited to read Shirley Jackson's other works, such as The Haunting of Hill House, which is a Netflix series that's really popular that I absolutely loved. So I'm going to read the book hopefully soon and hopefully adore it. The fourth book I read was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I gave this 3.25 stars. I enjoyed it, but I'm not huge on classics, and it just was really slow. Nothing really happened, and what did happen was kind of weird and boring, and I was just like, whatever. But it was still entertaining because it was like a different time that I didn't that I don't get to experience because I live in 2019. I was told this is a romance, or at least that's what I thought it was, but it was like barely a romance, and maybe it's because like the time period, things were a lot more like chill with the romance, and it was like frowned upon to write like romantic things or like talk about it, I guess. I did listen to this one on audiobook, and I read it for the Malefic's book club theme, which was around the world. So you read a book from a country you do not, or set in a country you do not live in, and this is set in England. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite thing. The last book I read in March was Lies My Teacher Told Me by James W. Lowen. I read this for my somebody else's favorite of the month. This is my English teacher's favorite book. She let me borrow her personal annotated copy because she's a queen. I gave this 3.5 stars. Basically this book goes into lies that history textbooks tell you and things they purposely don't cover because they're controversial, and when history books do cover these certain things, they often get vetoed by school boards for being in schools. It kind of talks about why and the different things that you need to realize are false and what you need to start thinking. The one reason I gave it a lower rating is because I didn't like how much of the author's political views had to be in these facts. I get like some of it was political based on like why these things are taken out of history books, and it was fine in those parts, but when he's talking about why Columbus is such a horrible person and then goes into political views from today's type of stuff, it just like, that's not what I was looking for. And although I agreed with a lot of the things he said, I just didn't think it was necessary, and it kind of irritated me more than anything. But yeah, that's what I read in March. That's all. Really didn't read anything like super amazing, like no new favorites, but I did really enjoy They've Also Lived in the Castle and Shadow Me. But in April you will see I'm reading a lot of really good books that I've already enjoyed, and it's not even halfway through the month. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you are having a great reading year, month, whatever's happening for you, and that's all I got. Bye!